reveals
I want you to say something you're afraid to say.
the most shocking twist of the season.
Something you'd never tell anybody.
Suspense.
Criminal Minds, the season finale, CBS next Wednesday.
In Felicity Huffman's debut on Criminal Minds, Evolution, she portrays Jill Gideon, ex-wife and former therapist of Jason Gideon. As the show delves into the origins of the BAU, Rossi reveals that a mysterious entity called North Star is actually the BAU itself, based on a white paper he and Gideon wrote in the 90s, outlining a recipe for creating a serial killer. Showrunner Erica Messer recalls an unused subplot from the original series that Jill was deeply involved in the BAU's early days alongside Rossi and her husband. Although Jill and Gideon divorced, they remained friends and she continued as his therapist. Jill left the BAU world after Gideon's death, but when Prentice arrives with news that their controversial paper has resurfaced, Jill reluctantly agrees to help. Huffman notes that while Jill has mixed feelings about re-engaging with the BAU, a sense of personal responsibility drives her to confront the issue. This storyline promises to uncover new aspects of the BAU's history and reveals Jill airing her dirty laundry, particularly in her interactions with Rossi. Felicity Huffman previews Criminal Minds' debut. Will Gideon's ex air the OG BAU's dirty laundry? When last we tuned into Paramount Plus' Criminal Minds, Evolution, Rossi revealed to the team, in dramatic fashion, that the mysterious North Star entity that inspired Gold Star is in fact the BAU itself. To illustrate his alarming point, he distributed copies of a white paper that he and Jason Gideon drafted, but never submitted, back in the 90s, which in essence suggested a recipe for creating a serial killer. When last we tuned into Paramount Plus' Criminal Minds, Evolution, Rossi revealed to the team, in dramatic fashion, that the mysterious North Star entity that inspired Gold Star is in fact the BAU itself. To illustrate his alarming point, he distributed copies of a white paper that he and Jason Gideon drafted, but never submitted, back in the 90s, which in essence suggested a recipe for creating a serial killer. So, who is Jill Gideon, anyway? Showrunner Erica Messer shared with TV Line that an early version of the CBS series 2005 pilot offered up more information on Jason Gideon's original cast member Mandy Patinkin, ex-wife, but it wound up on the cutting room floor. It never made it to air, but there was this idea that Gideon's ex was his therapist, Messer said. So it's been stuck in my mind for a long time. Oh, that thing exists. And I always felt like it'd be a fun nod to the fans who've been watching a long time. Hey, we have this really deep pull. But it also works if you never knew Gideon, because you're learning it through the eyes of Rossi and everyone else who knew Gideon. Desperate Housewives alum Huffman herself said of Jill, I can tell you that she was deeply involved at the beginning of the BAU. She and Rossi and her husband were the pioneers. Then she got divorced from Gideon, because it wasn't working, but they stayed friends, and she even kept being his therapist. When Jason was years later killed by an unsub, off-screen in a season 10 episode, that's when she went, okay, I'm done, I'm out, Huffman noted. She just couldn't be around it. As such, when Prentice eventually shows up on Jill's doorstep, the shrink has, to put it lightly, mixed feelings about opening the door to this unexpected visitor. She likes Prentice. They have a deep history, Huffman said, but initially, it's that knock you never want to get. You're like, oh, I do not want you at my door, because it cannot be good news. I am not answering it no matter what. But when Emily reveals that controllable variables on emerging teenage psychopathy did not get 100% buried but somehow was leaked into the wild, a sense of personal responsibility nudges Jill to hear her old friend out, Huffman previewed, though she does so, kicking and screaming. As you may glean, Messer's deep pull from Criminal Minds canon promises to reveal a new thing or two about the BAU's beginnings, the years that preceded where the long-running drama first picked up. That happens. Jill airs her dirty laundry in front of sort of everybody, Huffman affirmed, but particularly with Rossi.